So, let's confirm.
Let's see. Oh, we're all going everywhere. Okay, it
We
seems
are good on my side, Mariette.
fine. Okay, it seems on my side it is also going. Yes, definitely. Excellent conditions. Well, that's wonderful news at least. Right, so welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for this live again today. We are here on the 20th episode, I think, of the Surplus Yarn Stories. And it's the 26th of November today. And two of us is coming from South Africa, and our guest is coming from Germany. So it's very exciting. We're very, very happy to have you here. And my name is Mariette, also known as the Boervrouw. I have the Crafty Stitches podcast here on YouTube, and we do this every month. So I will give over to my co-host, and we will take it from there. I hope you enjoy.
So, co-host would be me. Hi everyone, my name is Leonie and welcome. Like Mariette said, it's our 20th episode already. I cannot believe it. And yeah, second last one for 2023. I don't know where the year went, but here we are. And we are really excited for our guest, who's Sunbirdcrochet on YouTube, Instagram, and I am very, very forward to chatting with Claudia today. She brings a few interesting aspects of the craft to the table. So, yeah, I'm going to let Claudia introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to this surplus special, and I feel very honored to be here with you today. I have for you, well, lots of projects which I've made with my surplus yarn scraps and things. And I hope that there is something for you in it or with it, which you will enjoy. I've also got some free patterns, which you get from me. Yeah, wrong way around. Like this one, for instance. So I have a podcast, as Leanne said already, the Sunbirdcrochet podcast. I am a designer, if I may say so. I'm mostly self-published, but I've also got 2 crochet designs in Mariette magazine issue 2. And otherwise, I just enjoy the craft, and I'm not as good in knitting as in crochet, but I'm trying to improve. And yeah, I'm just having fun with yarn.
Okay, thank you. Ah, I see Martha. Martha's here. Hi, Martha. Okay. Thanks for that, Claudia. Um, so normally we go the route of FOs, and because we had a little bit of a chat beforehand, Claudia, we're going to let Mariette show her FO first because you got a few you want to show us, and we are very excited to see that. Um, so yeah, Mariette, I'm going to make you full screen
Okay.
soon. There you go.
There we go. All right, so I have a small finished project today that I made with some leftover yarn that I bought years and years ago. I think it's discontinued or there's a new one in its place, but it's got a different yarn weight. So it is cotton yarn, and I just used a little tutorial on YouTube. I actually linked a specific video in the project page on my Ravelry project page, and this is it. So the tutorial is for a flat knitted heart. So I just made 2 and I sewed them together, and I put some washable stuffing inside. And what I do with these is I actually use them as yarn needle minders. So I would just add my needles to it like that. I usually have 2, a big one and a small one. And that just helps me from not always looking for needles. It's easier to see this little guy. So I think this came out super cute. And I do have another knitted one as well. But I think you can never have enough of these things because I always have yarn needles somewhere in a project bag or something. So yeah, that's my cute little finished object. I made this with Raisa cotton that I bought at my local yarn shop in Krugersdorp. But this was still on the ball band for a 5mm hook. So it's a little bit of a thicker yarn. And I think I used a 4.5mm needle for this one. Nowadays, the Raisa that we get here is called for a 4mm needle. So it's more of a double knit yarn. But you can make it in any yarn, just match the needles, and yeah, I think it's nice and colorful.
It's
Sweet small
super
little
cute.
heart. Thank you. So
Yeah.
yes, that's my little finished project. And yeah, thank you. Such a good
Um,
idea.
no, I also think it's a good idea because I am forever looking for my needles. I don't know why, but yeah,
Yes.
maybe I must make one as well. Okay, thank you. So we're now going to make Claudia big. There
Bam! There I am.
we go.
Big.
There you are.
Yes.
Claudia, so the floor is yours to please talk to us about all your finished objects that you would like to share with us.
Yes, I would like to start with all the Scrappy projects. And we talked about, or I talked with Leonie and Mariette about all my projects from the past. I don't all have them with me still. One of my favorite ever Scrappy project is the Continuous Crochet Baby Blanket, which is a free pattern by Deidre Uys. And she has the website Look at What I Made.com, I believe. And that's just one long continuous double crochet US turns blanket, and you can stop at any corner when you run out of yarn. And what I do is I actually like to mal the blanket. I'm holding 3 or maybe up to 5 strands of yarn together using a big crochet hook, and that's really a great project. I can't show you this here right now. I sent a photo to Leonie, so maybe we can have a look at that later. But let me show you what I have here next to me. We are soon going to be in December, and many of you have yarn advent calendars. And I would like to show you my first project made from a yarn advent calendar. This is also a free pattern by Anna Boo's House. I've talked about it in my own podcast before, and it's a simple granny stitch shawl, triangular. And I really love this because it's so simple and it's giving joy. And with this one, I just worked in the colors as they appeared in my yarn advent calendar. But if you have scraps, you can make one huge yarn ball and you just make a knot, and then it's like a magic ball of surprise, especially if you make them in advance and you don't remember all the colors which you entered in that ball. So you just work on your shawl, and with this one here, same pattern, but just much bigger. Another one of those. And just this morning, I finished this one here. Same pattern, but different colors, obviously. So the main focus here is on the color changes and combinations. And the granny stitch is really easy and fun, and I would say for beginners, ideal. And yeah, you can do it whilst watching your favorite movies. So easy and satisfying. And then that's a second pattern I would recommend. And we are like progressing with skills, I would say. we can talk about the Battenberg blanket, and the MAL, the crochet along, is still running. I know that Mariette is doing hers in knitting, and I've done mine in crochet. This is one of them. This is a free pattern by Cherry Hearts, Sandra Paul.
Sandra Paul.
Yes. And I chose to MAL, my main color here, and the squares. This is slightly bigger than in the pattern because I was using 2 strands of yarn held together, so it's a bit of a chunky project. Again, maybe a little bit more advanced than just a granny stitch shawl, but very easy still, especially since Sandra is giving all the instructions very detailed, and it's just fun. And I've made another one which is right behind me here, and I know that many of you are already working on their own. How long is it running? Until the end of next year, I believe.
Yeah, finish in time.
Supposed to.
So what else can we do with our scraps? I've made something similar but with a different square pattern.
Yes, I love that.
Okay, you need a main color for the outer rounds and for joining, but these tiny little pieces here, they get a nice combination. This pattern, I gave you the link. Can you remind me what the pattern was called? I think the designer is Mohi something crochet.
Mohi Mohi Designs.
Yeah, that's the one.
And I'm not sure what the button name is, but we will definitely link it down below. I cannot remember.
So it's just an example.
Let me check if I can see quickly.
But
we will definitely link it. I love that.
There's so many options, and what I do is I'm starting a production line. I start with all the little rounds, and then I mix the colors up, and for every round I'm adding another color. And so you get, for every square, you get a different color combination, but they still work together as a whole. Yeah. So yeah, that's the idea. And for the back, I just made a simple crochet square, and I've joined them together, and that's a nice project. Now, you could make this one here. This is a giraffe pattern. This is a paid-for pattern, and you can use smaller pieces or scraps of yarn for your African flower motifs here, and then still use the main color for the rest of the animal. This is a Heidi Bears pattern. And then when we go into more advanced kind of projects, I fell in a very big rabbit hole with crochet color work. And let me show you some of my designs. I've made those using scraps of yarn. So you can do that.
That is so cute.
Crochet color work. It's called the Cape Townian cowl. And I've used bits and pieces of wool, which I got from Faye Hughes as a Christmas gift. And I just added them. You see some color changes here. But still, I think that's a nice way to use up scraps, which are a little bit bigger, not just tiny scraps, but you need a little bit more than just like a tiny scrap there. But you can use this up, and you can make like if the color changes are subtle or differences in the colors of your scraps, then you can make like a fade. So that's kind of nice as well. This is a free pattern by me for you on Ravelry and on Ribbler. And once I started with these kind of things, I made this one here, which is called the Cowl of Good Hope, unintended. You see the difference between knit color work and crochet color work is that your you have to take care about the height of your rows and basically the size of your stitches. And this was supposed to be a protea flower, but it's a little bit wide, right? So I was still experimenting with this one here. This is a free pattern as well, and also on Ravelry and on Ribbler. And then I've made this one here, which is with Forever Yours cowl. And this one in particular, you need one main color for what looks here like gray. But this is worked in the round, so you can make like a light fade of your scraps, and then this what's now pink here would change in color slightly and slowly depending on the size of your scraps. So I think the color work is also a very good way to get rid of to use up your scraps and to appreciate them.
Make
So
use of it.
beautiful, right?
Yeah.
So these 3 designs, I've got more. And well, once you've started with crochet color work, you can also make bigger projects. So I can show you a couple of my bigger projects. This is a paid for pattern, the Taroko sweater by Nomad Stitches. This is my first color work garment in crochet. And this was meant as a crochet color work project. I love this so much that I've made a second one in lace weight. So this one, the first one which I've shown you was fingering weight. And the next one here is the Taroko in lace weight. This is the cropped sweater. And maybe I shall tell you that the stitch which you're using is a waistcoat stitch. Sandra, who's the designer of the Taroko, calls it the center single crochet stitch. And you're working into the crochet stitch like a V, and you work with your hook through the center of the V. So the waistcoat or the center single crochet stitch.
Sorry, Claudia, is that now the stitch that looks a lot like knit stitches,
Yeah.
but it's just a little bit bulkier than knitting, basically, just a little bit thicker, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Very nice.
And then...
And that is crochet patterns. The rest of your thing is knit patterns transferred into to crochet.
Up things. I like to shake up things, and I'm not a rule-following person. So why, if you're craving your colorwork sweater, but it's a knitting pattern, why not making it in crochet, right? So I've made the Soldotna sweater, which is by Boylan Knitworks, in crochet, adapting what I've learned with the Taroko. And I've made the faux I-cord here in crochet, then the color work using the charts from the Soldotna, and I've added here a little bit of crochet, like a lace work, so that it's less like it gets more drapey and more flexible when you're moving in your sweater if you add a little bit of this here. And then I continue with the Soldotna chart, right? So that's another one. And then once you start, you can't stop. And I've made this one here, which is the Birkin. And it's still all crochet. I've added here a little bit of bubbles here. And yeah, so another one. And then this is like a series of Boylan Knitworks patterns. And I've bought them all before I'm turning them into my own crochet sweater. So this is the Jupiter crop, and this is the perfect example for using up your scraps, because the repeats here, or the motifs, you don't need that much of one color. You can change the color while you're working on it. So this will leave me this Christmas because it's claimed. And my most recent one finished is the Illuminate sweater. This is a paid-for pattern by Andrea Mowry. So I've made this one here. Again, this is not an example for scraps, but just another example for crochet color work. You could, however, exchange one of the colors with color changing yarn. That would give the sweater a whole new look, but still beautiful, I think. And yeah, so these are all crochet color work projects which you can do, but I would suggest to start with a small project because you have to find out if a center single crochet stitch is for you or it isn't. And there are other ways to do color work in crochet, other stitches. If you are not happy with a waistcoat, aka center single crochet stitch, then you can use the extended single crochet. And that's just one way. Of course, there are other ways as well, but this is not the time now to talk about this in length. I don't want to bore you. I just wanted to show you some examples. And yeah.
Hey, Claudia, I want to quickly interrupt you because
Sure.
Adela also said that she loves your sweater that you're wearing. Can you tell us what sweater are you wearing?
This is
That
store-bought. I'm sorry to say that this is a store-bought
Oh,
sweater, but I am thinking about reproducing this
yeah.
pattern because I like it. This was one of my Christmas sweaters 2 years ago, and it's sparkly. So maybe this Christmas, there's still time, right? And this is quite
It's
cool,
beautiful.
actually. So perfect for color work and crochet and using up scraps as well. Yeah.
Yes.
So unfortunately,
Okay.
this pattern doesn't have a name because it's store-bought. But if you see something in a store and you like it, why not making up your own color work crochet chart from which you can work? This would work as a cowl, maybe. Then you don't have to deal with increases and decreases. It's just plain chevron kind of color work. That might work as well. Yeah, so these are my finished objects for scraps.
Do you want me to quickly try and share a photo of the continuous blanket?
That would be great. So I've made a couple of
Let's.
blankets. One is with my sister. I've sold one. I've made a baby blanket with bubbles on the border. So it's very versatile and I just love it. And you see, because I've mounted, the color changes are very subtle.
I'm not seeing it.
There we go.
Yes.
It does come into focus. It's beautiful. Yes.
And we've got a orangey, reddish one as well.
Yeah, that's
Oops.
with my sister. Actually, at my sister's.
Very nice.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I've still got 2 works in progress, but I'm not too sure if you want to talk about those now or later.
I think we can chat about them later. If you'll allow me just one question, is there some tip that you can share with us to, like, what's the process to convert a knit pattern to a crochet pattern? Do you just make sure that you have the same gauge, or
No,
what's the method?
I don't actually check my gauge at all, to be honest. I know how many stitches I need for starting for my neckline. And I'm adding the ribbing last. I start with the amount of stitches I need, and you can check that. You crochet a foundationless, no, what's it called? A chain? You just crochet the amount of stitches.
A foundation row.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that your head still fits through. Okay, when you join in the round. That's your start of the crochet jumper. when you increase, if you want to, you can add neck shaping in the front and the back. I would recommend to do a bit of neck shaping in the back, which means that you're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth in one color, so that you raise the back of your neck and it doesn't like choke you on the front. And once you've done that, you can start with your color work. I just pick or try to choose a color work design where there is a break in between. For example, let me show you this one here. This was perfect because when you start this one here, you get in 1 or 2 rows where there are no color work changes. You don't change color at all. It's just 1 or 2 rows of plain one color. And this is where you can do the increases most easily. So I just see that when you start, I put it on the ground and I see that it's flat. It should stay flat until it reaches, the collar reaches about, or the yoke reaches about there, the kind of just before my shoulders start to tip down. So until about here, my yoke should lie flat on the floor. So I have to reach this, I have to increase the stitches. And I just increase where there are no color changes. And once I've reached here, I stop increasing and I just continue with the chart as is. And then you split for the sleeves. And when you split for the sleeves, it would be best if you do that, if you, like here, you have another area where there are no color work, color changes. And you add a couple of stitches underneath your arms so that it's not like a straight jacket. You still want to be able to move, especially to the front and the back and everything. The bonus is if this is for you, then you can put it on and try it on and you just feel, okay, that's right, that's fitting. And then, yeah, maybe some customization depending on your groupage. You might want to divide the stitches so that there are more stitches on the front than in the back. Also, since you join in the round, sometimes it's more obvious than in other times. And actually, I have difficulty to find where the joining is. With this one, it's here, okay? So this is where I've joined in the round. You can't see this very well. I would say you can't actually see it at all. But I would move then, I would move the joining of the round to under the arm because it's on the side, then you see it less. Yeah, and that's about it. If you want to increase or decrease, do it in an area with no color changes. And otherwise, just follow the chart. One thing is, with my gauge, I know that my crochet stitches are higher, the rows are higher than I would have in knitting. So I would have to increase my stitch number, the stitches, quicker than in the knitting chart. So I add more stitches and then I continue. I add more stitches here where there are no color changes and then I pick up the chart again and yeah. But sometimes actually the stitches and the chart works exactly the same for knitting and for crochet. So sometimes it's just trial and error. It's not very scientific. I'm sorry.
It seems, Claudia, it seems that if you say that your gauge, your crochet row gauge, is a bit
Yeah.
bigger. So, for instance, you do 1 crochet round instead of 2 knitting rounds.
Yeah.
You might get maybe sometimes to a point where you're gonna leave a small jot off. or put it on the body, because otherwise your yoke is going to get too deep maybe? Or didn't you have that experience before yet?
I split for the sleeves earlier than the knitting chart or knitting pattern would tell me.
Okay.
So
Yes.
when I split for the sleeves earlier, then I continue with the chart along the sleeves
Okay.
separately and on the body. But yeah, that's everything. I just check where I am when I want to split for the sleeves, and yeah, I think that's about it. It's just you have to see how much do I increase so that it's still lying flat, and once you've reached that magical area here, you can stop increasing and you just work down so that it kind of shapes down your shoulder. And then you want to see where do my where do I have to split for the sleeves. Otherwise you just, I mean, you can do like a poncho style, then you don't have to worry about splitting for the sleeves and when and where and how. But I like to be able to lift my arms without the whole sweater coming up. And yeah, that's about it, my experience. I yet have to write my own crochet colorwork sweater pattern. That's on my list sometime down the crochet road.
Okay. So I'm going to move us along a bit. Mariette, do you want to show us your whips first?
I can.
Oh, sorry. Let me just fix this. There we go.
All right, so I did put in a little bit of work on my Brioche Memories blanket. Let me just get it out. So I've added 4 blocks to the little blanket. So I will link the pattern down below. I can never remember the designer's name. I know her name is Valerie, but I cannot remember the design name. So this is what we have at the moment. So I added
Oh, wow.
these 3 top blocks. This one, let me do that. This one represents my Felicity sock pattern. That's the yarn for that. And the contrast toe I started the I-cord with. Not sure if I bring it closer if it will be in focus, but anyway, so the little
Yeah, it's in
I-cord,
focus. It looks
and
good.
then okay, and then this one is the last pair of socks that I now just knit for my husband. So it's also the contrast toe and the main color. And then I added this one. This is actually a Knotty Habit yarn, and that is one of the colors that I added to my Scrappy cowl with a mohair that I cannot wear, that I gifted to you, Leonie. So I will always remember that one in my memories blanket. And then this one is another one that I finished. It is my shorty socks that I made with Regia yarns. So I'm thinking of, well, squaring it off, but it's not a square, it's a rectangle, and then start at the top again. So I'm really enjoying this project. So for this one, I'm only using 75% wool and 25% nylon blends. Not necessarily socks, anything that I make with that blend goes in here. And yes, I'm trying to manage all of the ends. I've got small little pieces for all of them that I've already weaved in. And then the ones that I'm still knitting and weaving in on the sides is still there.
So you
And
can't
what else? I'm
get
using
them
a
as you knit, Mariette, because of the I-cord or what?
I do.
Oh,
No.
okay.
You do basically. That's why they are all hanging out here on the sides.
Okay.
These small ones at the back is already weaved in, but I don't want to cut them too short before I wash the blanket. So somewhere along the line, if I've got a square big enough, I will block it and then I'll trim those ends that as then already settled into place. But I just leave the blocks on the last row. I
Okay.
leave because this one will get knit into the I-cord. It's also included in the pattern. So I weave it in into the I-cord while knitting the second blocks. So that's very nice. That helps. Alrighty. So that is that one. And then will I share my new whip?
Please do.
It's a baby whip. It's a real baby. So I'm using the same yarn as this last block that I've shown. This is it's also Regia. It's a self-striping yarn. So I just started the toe of a sock. I really just did like 5 rows or something. So it's really a baby toe. And the reason why I started the toe is that Leonie and I did a yarn swap for December. So we're going to knit stripy socks. And I'm starting my toes early because on the 1st of December, I want to start both. I want to knit them in tandem. So I'm starting the toes so that I'm prepared and ready for opening the yarn swap. So I'm very, very excited about that. And yes, that is the project at the moment. I'm not sure if you want to share something else before we get to the Battenbergs or
I don't know. Claudia, do you have some whips that you have to share with us?
Yeah, 2.
Okay.
This is my current color work project, and it's in cotton yarn. This is the Alpine Bloom Tea by Andrea Mowry. No, sorry, by Boylan Knitworks. And
It's stunning.
yeah, this looks better from afar, but because if you get close, you see the yarn which I'm carrying a little bit shining through. I'm not bothered by this. Some people might be, but I'm happy with this, and I intend to add just with I finish this part here, and then I add in an apricot color the body, just one color. So that's one whip. And the other one is a freeform crochet project. I'm using as a guideline a painting by Gustav Klimt. And it's called The Virgin. There is a center with a woman and other women surrounded by her, and there are lots of lovely Art Deco motifs. And this is where I'm at the moment. This piece will grow still, and it will be
Wow.
there will be more flowers here on her dress, and yeah, that's another project which I'm busy whenever I have the time, and excellent for that scrappy bits and pieces as well, especially for the flowers. You could make like here at the bottom, you can make little motifs and you keep them in a little box. And then when you've got enough, you just add them together to make a nice crochet painting kind of thing. So yeah, these
It's
are my
stunning.
whips.
I really admire people doing freeform crochet. It's really amazing.
These are little bubbles in her hair. This is surface crochet, and this is surface crochet as well. I've made like a swirl, and then I started in the middle and made the surface crochet line as well. These are little flowers added to it, and yeah, it's just whenever I find the time, I'm adding a little bit to that as well.
I have a question.
Yes.
Where did you find her blush?
It's text marker highlighter.
It's beautiful. Now I know they do color the amigurumi dolls and things, but I was just wondering how you got that effect.
It's a neon pink highlighter, just like you use in school for your textbooks. And
Very
obviously,
nice.
I can't
Very
wash.
clever.
I can't wash this later, but fine. It's just a scrappy project which gives me joy. No fear to experiment
Amazing.
with your crochet.
Okay.
These are the whips.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing. I'll share my Battenberg quickly. There we go. There we go. So I added around 33 blocks this month, which is not enough, but it's something. And the blanket is to shape now. There we go. And these are all done with sock base yarn, not necessarily yarn that I made socks with. All sorts of scrappy yarns. And yeah, this morning I caked up my third undyed cake. So just over about 200 grams already. The white blocks. And then my bowl is starting to fill up now. So I really need to start adding it. I've got my Ziploc baggie with some leftover yarns that I got from Adele. So thanks again, Adele. And some mini skein that I bought. Where did I buy this? Oh, the supermarket last
Super.
month when we went. Yes. So I'm not deviating from it being scrappy by adding the mini skeins, but I like the colors. I wanted more. I don't know, yellow especially. I don't know. I've got a thing for yellow. And I bought some like this one. That one I bought. And there's a yellow one that Adele gave as well. So I'm excited to add them into my blanket. And by Sandra Paul. So this is still my first one. I don't have two finished like Claudia. And I will need the full 2 years, if not more, to finish mine.
Yes, I can maybe just remind you what did Sonia said that if you take the mini skein and you ball it up, it's scraps. So doesn't matter. I see it's in little balls, so it's scraps, and it goes in the blanket.
Nothing to discuss anymore. I
That
just
is
quickly want
beautiful.
to. I just saw some comments coming through for Claudia. Your artwork is going to be awesome. All your projects are amazing from Rosemary.
Thank
And
you.
then she's also saying your blanket is coming on beautifully, Mariette. Ella is
Thank
saying
you.
she cannot wait to see her scraps in my blanket. Yeah.
Okay.
Mariette, you are knitting your blanket, and I believe
Yes.
you've done a
And
bit this month.
yes, I actually contemplated last time to finish it off early, and then I decided, listen, we've already been working on it for almost a year, so just stick with it and just go on. So I added 13 blocks to the blanket, and I've made two more, but they've not been added yet. So in the previous episode, I was at this marker, so I just finished the row. So this main color is now finished, and now I started a main color of black. So
Goodness.
I'm not sure how I'm gonna knit these black blocks, but it's in the stash, goes in the blanket, and yes, we have lots of black and one more black block. So yeah, we sit underneath the lamp and we do that. And I cannot remember if I was finished.
Sorry,
Say
Mariette. I was
again.
just saying, luckily our days are getting longer, so you could do 1 or 2 blocks in daylight.
Yes, no, I definitely have to. And there's still navy coming up as a main color as well. So yeah, it's still going to be fun. I'm not sure if I was finished with this last time, but I have finished all of my light colored blocks for my main color for my last row of the blanket, so that I can use the rest of this yarn in the rest of the blanket. So yes, I did do quite a few, and yes, I don't know if I'll be able to show you how big it is at the moment.
Maybe a little bit to the left.
And then,
Yeah,
so yes, quite big
quite
already.
big.
I did see that in last month when I was working quite a lot on the blocks for the last 2 rows, it did kill my mojo a little bit to just knit and put blocks aside. I find that for me, I must knit the blocks and I must add them to the blanket so that I can keep seeing the blanket grows. Otherwise, my motivation goes a bit down. But yes, so that is what we shall do for the rest of this year and next year until it's finished. And yes,
And I
that is my
actually
blanket.
I noticed exactly the same thing this morning because last Sunday and the Sunday before I was just knitting on the colored blocks. And this morning I realized I need to add to the blanket as well a little bit. And the moment I started adding, one more. So yeah, it does help.
Yes.
Claudia, question: are you thinking of doing another Battenberg yet, or not?
Oh, if you're trying to convince me, I might.
Yeah.
It is a very fun project. And I do have an Advent yarn calendar, actually 2 in my life this month, next month, yes. So we will see.
Maybe. Okay, I'm seeing some comments. I did display them, but the one question, Mariette, that we need to start thinking about, Rosemary is also extending the time for the Battenberg. Um, we'll see maybe next time. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
because we were joking it's going to be the Battenberg MAL 25, 26 or 24 something. 4 year make along or something.
Yeah. We have got 8 minutes left on the clock, so can I suggest we do the pattern suggestions?
Yes,
Okay. I must just get my
definitely
screen
can.
ready. Give me 1 second. There we go. So, all the buttons you need to push. There we go.
Alrighty. Well, I am a sucker for chevrons, so when I saw this one, I couldn't pass it up, and it's got such pretty colors. So I thought we'll do this one. So this is a paid for pattern on Ravelry. It's the chevron market bag from Judy Starless, I think. I'm not sure how to pronounce the surname. And it is made with a worsted weight yarn using a 5mm hook. And it uses about 320 meters in total. And I thought it's a very, very cool project. I'm sure that you can maybe do this in different weights of yarn if you like. It'll just adjust the size of the bag. But I think it's very nice. And yeah, you can even line it if you like. But I like the colors and I love the chevrons, and I thought this one is going in. I think we can do the next one.
Is this a paid for or a free pattern, Marie mentioned?
It is paid for. Yes, it's a paid for pattern. It's $5 on Ravelry. And then this one is a brand new pattern. It just got released this month in November. So it is the confectionery cowl from Margaret. She is it Heidi and Lana? I think is a brand. Yes, Heidi and Lana yarn brand. And she's also got a podcast on YouTube called the Margaret's Knitting Only Show. Um, so it's Margaret and Margaret. Very funny. Anyway, so this is designed for a Advent calendar, and as I said, it's called the confectionery cowl. And I read on the project page that she says the confectionery cowl is like a sweet treat of knitting, easy, fun, and addictive. So I like that a lot. It's fingering weight yarn. It is also a paid for pattern, and yes, it's designed for, I cannot remember, 24 different colors. So yes, I like that a lot. It's beautiful. Alrighty. And then the last one, I just found this one by, by chance. It's called Surplus Stripes. And I thought that's very fitting. It is also a paid for pattern on Ravelry. And if I look at the project pictures, I'm sure there must be like a mitten pattern as well. I did not check that out, but it is the Surplus Stripes by Sarah Wilson. And this is also a worsted weight project knit with 4mm needles. And it is only in one size, the cowl, but yeah, cowl is a nice pattern that can usually be easily adjustable. I thought that is very cool that it's called Surplus Stripes.
Okay.
Yes.
I just saw another comment coming through here. Amber of a lovely you did a very nice roundup of advent patterns that will, of course, work for leftovers. Thanks a lot, Yella. And check that
Okay.
out as well.
If you are a crocheter, then there's a new pattern coming soon. And the designer is Sophie Herden, who is a spring snowflake. She has a podcast as well. And that looked very, very beautiful. I only saw it recently, so we didn't talk about this yet. But that's very nice. So just have a look out for that one.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Okay, so what do we have to discuss still, Mariette? Sorry, I just want to check my notes.
Oh, I think we've done all of the things that we need to address. Oh my goodness, Claudia,
Yes.
that thing is looking
Oh,
so pretty. I
It's
love those
pretty.
colorful
blues and
I wanted to
the
make Claudia a V.
purples. Oh, just look at that.
yeah,
It really looks
I
so
like color.
cozy. The drape and everything is perfect.
It's a pity it's in Germany. Otherwise, we
Yeah,
could maybe go lend it.
Hmm.
maybe if I take out the wings, it can fly over to you.
Oh, it's gorgeous. I love
Funny.
it. I've only
Yes.
made a granny wrap type of shawl once, and it is a very, very nice project to make. I can understand why you already made 3.
Yeah, especially when it's December and before Christmas, you have so many things to do. And when you want to sit down and crochet, you find the time to sit down and crochet. You don't want something complicated, so you just go for comfort crochet, and that's that.
Very nice.
Or
And I
you're an
love the fact that
Antilles
it's
body.
quite big.
You can make it as small or as big as you want. And if it's a small one, you can even sew together at the back of the cowl.
Yes,
There's a lovely
That's a
that's a good
very
pattern
good
idea.
idea.
similar like this by Zines and Rogers, Rosina Northcott. It was in one of the British crochet magazines. I've made it, but I it might just be a granny cowl, the name of the pattern, but I can't remember right now. But it comes on my mind because it's very beautiful, and it was a fun project, so I can recommend that as well. Not very useful if I don't remember the name, but at least I remember that it was Rosina's.
Okay. No, that
I'm
is
just showing the last comments here. Funnily enough, I just thought of crocheting a leftover one yesterday. Well, ideally, if this is not a sign, then I don't know what is.
Always a good idea. Go for it.
Yes.
I love the idea of making like a magic knot ball because it's just easy and you can just go. You don't have to think about color. You can think about the color while you make the ball, and then
If
it's
you're in
like
the
a
zone, you
present and just
don't,
going.
yeah, you don't want to stop when you're in the crochet zone for winding up all that yarn. You just want to go. And also, if you make one big ball of yarn, you don't have to start. That's the most difficult bit of making winding up something, the start, because it's so tiny and when it flops over on the side and stuff. So if you are working with just one ball of yarn, which becomes bigger and bigger, and then you can just add to it, and winding up is so quick.
Yes, and that's also
No,
fun to
that's
make.
true.
Project on its own, and a nice gift.
Yes.
Definitely.
Okay, ladies. So we
Just
have
before we
reached
go,
our.
I see Martha says she made a Zines and Rogers ones, and it was in Molly Makes. So that is something we can also check out, maybe.
That was the one.
Thank you,
I
Martha.
remember the name. Thank you, Marta.
Thank you. Sorry, you can continue, Leonie.
Yeah, I just wanted to say we've reached the hour mark. So, Claudia, would you like to say goodbye to our guests first?
Yeah, thank you for having me. And I hope that some bits of what I was talking about was informative and not just gibberish. There is the language barrier, so I hope it made all sense. And I hope that you're going to have fun with your crochet and knitting projects. And yeah, see you soon.
Thanks, Claudia. Um, I'll say goodbye next. So, Claudia, thanks for joining us. We really, really appreciate it. And it was not gibberish. I really found the part of where you actually explained a little bit more about the conversion from knitting to crochet really interesting. Thanks for that. And thank you to all the viewers that's live and that's going to watch later on and for all the comments. We really appreciate it. And I hope you all have a great week and month until we see you guys again. And yeah, bye, Mariette.
Thank you, everybody, for joining. And Claudia, thank you. You definitely inspired me also with your beautiful projects. I really love the colors that you put together. And thank you for coming and giving us some of your knowledge on the crochet knitting colorwork thing. Thank you very much. Thank you to everybody that always supports us, and we are looking forward to seeing you again next month. And I think that is it from us. Thank you so much for coming. Bye.